What is going on, my friends? It is so good to see you guys. My name is Ryan Williams, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys an update on my dividend stock portfolio. This is something that I plan on doing at least once a month, just so I can keep you guys in the loop on what I'm buying, what I'm selling, and so you can see the progress of my portfolio as it grows over time. But before we get into that, guys, I want to take a moment and apologize. I know it's been about a week and a half since I put out a video, and I'm really trying to shoot to put out 2 videos every single week. And the reason for my absence is because I just bought a new camera and I was waiting for that to come in, and maybe you guys can tell the quality of this video is hopefully a little bit better, but anyway, that's why I have not been putting out any videos. But I am so happy to be back and talking about dividend stocks with you guys today. Anyway, as far as the month of April goes, I added 1 dividend stock to my portfolio, which we'll discuss later in this video. And my portfolio actually saw some decent appreciation as well as some significant gains in annual dividend income, which I'm so excited to talk to you guys about. Now, if you're excited to hear about some dividend stocks today, please don't forget to leave a big thumbs up on this video. And if you want to check out some more videos from me in the future, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well. Anyway, thank you so much for doing that. And now, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, my friends, so now what we are looking at is my portfolio through my dividend portfolio tracking spreadsheet, which I made in Google Sheets. If you guys want access to this spreadsheet for yourselves, I've included the link to it in the description of this video, so go check it out. Also in the description of this video is a link to a video that I made that gives you a walkthrough on how to set up and use this portfolio for yourself. So if you guys are having trouble, definitely check that out. All right, guys, back to the main subject here. So what we're gonna talk about now is my recent purchases throughout the month of March. So as I mentioned in the intro to this video, I added 1 more dividend stock to my portfolio, and that stock is this one right here, American States Water Company, ticker symbol AWR. And this is actually inaccurate. I only have 4 shares, not 10. At any rate, for those of you who have never heard of this company, American States Water Company is a water utility company that primarily operates in California, which is the state that I currently live. And one of the reasons I invested in this company is, number one, I needed another utility stock, which I'll talk with you guys more about later. But anyway, the reason I chose this utility stock specifically is because they have some government contracts to provide their water utility service for different military bases throughout the country. And if we go over to this tab right here from the website for American States Water Company, if we scroll down to the bottom here, this last little paragraph here, this last little chunk of sentence, the company provides operations, maintenance, and construction management services for water distribution and wastewater collection and treatment facilities located on 11 military bases throughout the country under 50-year privatization contracts within the U.S. government. So anytime you can find a company that has some government contracts, another example of one of these companies is Lockheed Martin, it's kind of a good thing because that's pretty much guaranteed income. And as you can see here, these contracts go for a long time. They're 50 years. And I could be wrong, but I would assume, if nothing goes wrong within those 50 years, at the end of it, they'll just renew the contract. And as I mentioned, they primarily operate in and throughout California, providing, water services, which is imperative. Everyone needs water. Just from reading this, it looks like they also work in 9 other states throughout the country. What those states are, I don't remember off the top of my head, but they are a little bit diversified outside of this one state here. Anyway, in this video, I don't want to go too in-depth on AWR. I just wanted to give you guys a brief overview of what they do and give you a little taste as to why I chose to invest in them. Just one other quick stat on AWR. I'm sure you guys are wondering about the dividend. The dividend yield for American States Water Company is 1.7%, and they have a 5-year CAGR of 8.16%. So, it's got a pretty low dividend yield, 1.7%. It's nothing really to write home about, but the 5-year CAGR is pretty respectable, 8.16. It's not too low, it's not too high. Also, this company for the last 65 years has been paying out dividends consistently to shareholders, and for the last 18 of those 65 years has grown it year over year. So they're paying more in dividends every single year for the last 18 years. At any rate, these things combined made it seem to me like a pretty reliable investment. Plus, like I said, I needed another utility stock in my portfolio, so I went with this one, and so far I'm pretty happy with it. I think looks like today I'm actually down a little bit overall, but that's not too bad. I'm going to continue to buy this one. Also, guys, as I mentioned earlier, every single week I invest $100. So, after buying one share of AWR every week, that leaves about 20 bucks left over for me to put it into another company or save for next week. So with that additional $20, I was able to pick up a few extra shares of EPD throughout the month of April, which this one is also a really good dividend stock. This has a dividend yield of almost 8%, making it one of the highest dividend paying companies in my portfolio. And EPD, if you guys aren't familiar with this company, is different from other companies like Chevron or like Coca-Cola or like 3M in the fact that it is an MLP. And what an MLP stands for is a master limited partnership. And how it's different is how it's taxed at the end of the year and how you're paid out. So at the end of the year from EPD, I get what's called a Schedule K-1, which is a form kind of similar to a 1099 that I report on my taxes. If you're a business owner, you own an LLC and you take distributions, you'll get a Schedule K-1 as well. It's the same form. But anyway, I wanted to just mention that as sort of a side note or a disclaimer for those of you who are watching this and are thinking, oh, I should buy some EPD. Before you do, look a little bit more into these MLPs and see if it's something that you want to add to your portfolio, because it is a little bit different. All right, guys, so that's pretty much it as far as what I've bought this month. It's pretty much just been AWR, EPD. I think I maybe picked up one more share of ORCC, but that's about it. It's been pretty much just focusing on, buying more shares of American States Water Company. No sells, just a lot of buys, and that's because I'm pretty happy with where my portfolio's at. I'm probably just gonna keep on keeping on like I've been doing at least for a little while. Anyway, guys, moving on, let's scroll all the way over here to the right. I wanna talk about my annual dividend income real quick and how that's changed over the month of April. So the last time I put out one of these videos where I gave you a portfolio update was back in March. And at the time, I believe that my dividend income was at about $1,020, which means just in the last month, just in the last 4 weeks, maybe 5 weeks, because I think I put that video out in like the 3rd week of March. So in the last 5 weeks, my annual dividend income for my portfolio has gone up from $1,020 to $1,052. So in my opinion, in a month's time or in 5 weeks' time, that's a pretty substantial jump. Typically when I buy stocks every single week, like if I've been buying one share of American States Water Company, per share, guys, it only gives me like an additional $1.34 every time I buy a share, which with my $100 a week is pretty much all I can afford, right? But somehow in the last 5 weeks, I've been able to increase my income from 1,020 to 1,052. And the reason I think I've been able to accomplish that is because from the time I put out that last video, 3rd week of March till like the beginning of April, even a little bit throughout April, like I said, I did pick up some more shares of Owl Rock Capital Corporation, which I believe is the highest dividend paying company in my portfolio, paying an 8.5% dividend. It's really up there, and each share pays $1.24 annually in dividends. And guys, it's only it's less than $15 a share. So I think just being able to pick up a lot of shares of that has helped bump up my annual dividend income just in the last month. And with this buying too, my dividend yield hasn't changed too much. It typically hovers between like 4.4%, and I've seen it get as high as 4.55%, I think. So anything over 4%, I'm pretty happy with, even if it got down into the threes, like if I was buying Procter & Gamble pretty heavy, or if I continue to buy a lot more AWR, that'll definitely drop this dividend yield. But I'm not too worried about it because a decrease in yield would come at the expense of buying some pretty safe companies. So I'm always happy to add a little safety to my portfolio. It's not a big deal. Anyway, guys, jumping over to this next page right here, this is the diversification tab in this portfolio, which shows this pie chart right here showing my diversification by sector, and this one shows it by each individual stock. And scrolling down a little bit, let's compare actual allocations versus target allocations. So as I mentioned, I've been primarily buying utilities this last month, which with the addition of American States Water Company has gotten me about 1.3% closer to my target allocation for the utilities sector in my portfolio. I still have just about 1.65% to go, which if I continue to buy American States Water Company, should be there in the next month or so. So I think if I go over here, let's play with this real quick. So I have 4 shares right now. I think if I get to 10, that will get me to my utilities goal, just about. Just about there, yeah. So that's kind of my goal with that, guys. I'm gonna keep buying American States Water Company until I'm able to reach this utilities goal. Then I'll start buying some other stuff. I can see that my consumer discretionary allocation is a little bit low compared to where I want it to be. So I might consider adding one more consumer discretionary stock to this portfolio. And the one that I have in my watch list is Lowe's, but I'm also considering buying into McDonald's. I'm just not exactly sure which one I want to do yet. As it currently is, I have a lot of different like food companies in my portfolio. Starbucks, Campbell's Soup Company, Coca-Cola. So I have a lot of food, so it might be good to diversify with something a little more industrial like Lowe's, which both Lowe's and McDonald's pay a pretty good dividend. Also jumping over here, my consumer staples dip below 25%, so by the time this gets to where it needs to be, I can probably buy a little bit more into this, which if I do, I'll probably pick up some more Procter & Gamble or maybe some more Coca-Cola. But other than that, guys, I'm in a pretty good spot. Healthcare's a little bit below. I could probably pick up another share of Johnson & Johnson. Clearly with real estate, I'm gonna hold off on buying any real estate or any REITs for quite a while. I don't need any more realty income. I don't need any more WP carry. And actually just with appreciation recently, realty income, ticker symbol O, in my portfolio has jumped over 10%, which if you guys saw my recent video on building a good dividend portfolio, you'll know that I said not to have any one stock go above 10%. And clearly I have broken this rule with realty income. But this strictly happened just because it's been appreciating so well. So anyway, you know, I don't need to buy any more real estate right now. And you know what? This is kind of a good segue into some of my future plans for this portfolio. I know I briefly touched on them a moment ago, but I'll reinstate them right now. So what I plan to do moving forward, at least in the near future, I'm definitely going to continue contributing to AWR in my portfolio and building up this utilities allocation a little bit more. If I'm buying one stock every single week, I should be at my target goal in the next 6 weeks, which isn't too long. And then once that's done, guys, I probably should consider adding one more consumer discretionary stock to my portfolio. The only one that I currently have is Starbucks, which is already at 7.2% of my portfolio. So I don't really feel like I need to add any more to that right now. I feel like I'd be better off buying into another company and start building another position into something like Lowe's or Home Depot or McDonald's, something like that. And then other than that, guys, one thing that I'm gonna start doing, I'm actually gonna start this next week in the month of May, is instead of investing $100 every single week into this portfolio, I'm gonna bump that up just a little bit and contribute $125 every single week. And real quick, let me show you guys how that's gonna affect my portfolio over time. So if we jump over to this dividend calculator real quick, I put in the stats for my portfolio right here. Let's change this to 4,800 because $100 a week, I know there's 52 weeks in a year, but let's just use 4 weeks in a month, 12 months in a year. That adds up to 4,800 bucks. And just using these stats, which is basically where my portfolio currently stands, let's see what my portfolio is going to look like in 20 years. All right, so if we scroll down here, after 20 years, just in that 20th year, guys, I will have made about $85,000 from dividends alone. And then my portfolio will be valued at about $700,000, just a little bit more. So if I decide to contribute an additional $25 a week, that should take my annual contribution to $6,000. And so let's see how that affects my portfolio. Okay, so scrolling down here, guys, we can see that everything's considerably higher. So just in that 20th year, instead of making $88,000, I will have made about $10,000 more, just about $97,500, which is nice, just from contributing 25 extra bucks a week. Additionally, we can see that my portfolio will be valued at over $100,000 more, about $110,000 more just by contributing an extra 25 bucks a week. So it's money I don't even think about. And over time, my goal is to contribute even more than $125 or even more than $100. As time goes on and as my income increases, I'd like to contribute more and more to this portfolio. All right, guys, well, that pretty much wraps it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. These portfolio update videos, I don't script them as much as some of my other videos, so I apologize if I ramble or if I rant or if sometimes things don't make the most sense. It happens. At any rate, I hope you find this entertaining and learn a little bit just from seeing how I do things in my portfolio. I know everyone does it different, and it's helpful sometimes to see how other people operate their portfolios. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video and have not done so already, please don't forget to hit the like button before you go. And if you're interested in seeing more videos from me in the future, please just mosey on over to that subscribe button and gently tap it for me if you don't mind. All right, well, I will now get out of your hair. Thank you guys again so much for watching this video. I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.